Peace, love, and light, family. Coming on here to deliver a message. And this message came, and this is a collective message. And typically, if you notice that there isn't an indication that this is a message for a specific group of people, this means that it's a message that is addressing the collective. And this message came when I began thinking about how, when you speak on, the things that are happening and people still experiencing, just some really challenging times because of karmic situations and karmics and people still doing things. There are a lot of people that will say that, well, we've already won. We've already won this. Why are we still talking about, karmics doing things and these challenges? Like, isn't it supposed to be right now, all, for the lack of a better term, hunky dory? And that couldn't be further from the truth. That really couldn't be further from the truth. And when I began thinking about this, my spirit guides say, not only could that not be further from the truth, and this is how people lose their lives. This is how people lose, period, is they confuse battles with wars. Okay? The easiest way to lose confirmation, the easiest way to lose, okay, and this is losing, period, losing your life, losing, your inheritance, losing what the most divine cosmos have for you. The easiest way to lose that is to confuse battles with wars. Okay, many have fought battles. And many have won battles. But you get to understand and understand that in the greater scheme of things, battles are not wars. Wars tend to be longer term. Wars tend to be fought for a very specific reason. Okay? And there are battles within the wars, and many have won battles and get confused when you still talking about, folks are fighting. Yes, they're still fighting because they've won many battles, but not necessarily the war. And this is really speaking figuratively and literally in the scheme of things. Okay? If you can think about the battles that you've won, many of you have fought battles within your workplace. You fought battles within family dynamics. You fought battles, in relationships. And you have won. And one of the reasons why you are here and you're able to hear this message is because of the battles that you won. But don't get it confused. Don't get it twisted and think that you've already won the war and there's no need for you to keep going. There's no need for you to keep strategizing, planning, doing things. And many folks will hear this message and think that, this is like a message, for people who are conspiracy theorists and, blase, blah, yada, yada, and, all of that. And again, usually take it as it resonates with you. And if this doesn't resonate with you, this message is not for you. But there are people out there that know for a fact that they are fighting a war, even though they have won various battles. They are still fighting a war. And they know that there is a need to keep going. They know that there's a need to keep moving. In fact, those who are truly in tune are very much aware of the need to push even harder the closer they get to winning the war. And this is really lack of a better term. This is what, and I'm not going to say lack of a better term, because this is This is how my spirit guides gave it to me, and so I'm giving it to you that way. Okay? You will not win. Okay? The biggest mistake that you can make is to think, that wars are the same thing as battles. Okay? And just an example, and this is the example that's coming to mind, in the battle for Haitian liberation and independence from captivity and mental colonization, in the war against, Haitian independence, there were many battles. Many folks actually believe that the Battle of Vertières, which is known to be, a huge battle that led to Haitian independence. Many believe that that was the only battle that the Haitian people fought that led them to become the first people to gain their independence from captivity. That couldn't be further from the truth. And in fact, this is part of the reason why many folks are still repeating the same mistakes, because, they believe that the battle is the war. The battle is part of the war. The Battle of Vertières was part of the war against captivity and mental colonization. It was one of the battles against, inhumane treatment and spiritual captivity. It was a major battle that the Haitian people fought and won, yet they are still fighting a war. Okay? They're still fighting a war. And many folks are not aware that in the grand scheme of things, they're still fighting a war. Okay? And when you think about wars are longer term. Wars tend to be, struggles against oppression, against captivity, against mental colonization, against spiritual captivity. Like, humans fight these wars all the time, and they fight the battles within the wars because there is a constant struggle. There is a constant need to liberate oneself and live as the cosmos, the divine, intended you to live. Like, freedom and liberation is underestimated. It's underestimated what it really means to be and live freely as you choose. And this is why many of us are constantly having to do the rituals necessary, assuring that we connect this physical body to the spiritual realm so that we are able to connect to source, and source is able to assist and support us in fighting these battles, because a lot of what you're actually fighting you don't see. And many folks I know even have a challenge or an issue with the word fight or battles, because, and you will notice that it's usually the people that have a problem with, they have a problem with fighting. Actually, the word fight means that you're not willing to give up on yourself, that you're not willing to give in, that you're not willing to be oppressed, that you're not willing to succumb to, bondage by any source, whether it's physical or spiritual, especially spiritual. And many folks have an issue with that word fight or war, because it's a misconception of what it actually is. You are, when you think of many folks, when they think of battles and wars, they think of, what they've been taught in textbooks, where there's two groups and they have weapons and this and that. Wars are not, they don't always look like that. And battles don't always look like that. Especially battles that are being fought in the spiritual. You will not see folks holding physical weapons. You will not see that. Yet those tend to be the most detrimental, the most potent forms of combat that exists. So the folks that have an issue with battles and wars oftentimes have a misconception about what they actually are. And if you're someone who is not willing to give up on self, not willing to, succumb to, being bondage, if you're someone that value choices and freedom, yes, you're going to persist and you're going to see what is in front of you. You're going to see that there are battles and wars that exist in the physical and the spiritual. So it's very important that we understand the difference between battles and wars, and to go even further, to understand, what battles and wars actually are. It's very important that we understand what battles and wars actually are. Oftentimes, the most detrimental battles are fought right under our noses and we're not aware of them. And those who know anything about battles and wars, they know a little something about strategizing. They know how to come within your dwelling. They know how to, come within your space. Because it's oftentimes the ones closest to you that you underestimate. This is why a lot of folks who, this is why, enemies within battles will oftentimes go inside the territory of those who they're trying to capture. Because the easiest way to underestimate someone, the easiest way to underestimate an enemy is the easiest way for you to lose a battle is to underestimate the enemy that is the closest to you. That is the easiest way to lose a battle, is to underestimate the enemies that are closest to you. And part of this, it's important because this is why a lot of folks have underestimated their own families, their spouses, the people that live within their homes, the people that live within their communities or their countries. They underestimate them. Oftentimes we believe that an enemy or someone that is against us are those that are, we separate them from us. In fact, if we really want to go even deeper, oftentimes you are your worst enemy. If we really want to be real, because a lot of the messages and information that your spirit guides that live within, that dwell within, provide for you to continue the battle, you ignore. You ignore the highest part of yourself. So this is it's like this is a part that hits the closest to home. This is the part that most are not readily willing to believe, that we ourselves can be our worst enemies, and that our worst enemies oftentimes are the ones closest to us. And yes, our worst enemies are the ones closest to us, and this is why we ourselves are our worst enemies. And we're not willing to listen to the most potent, the most powerful part of self. So going back to this message about, winning, and knowing the difference between battles and wars. Really, it's about winning and knowing the difference between wars and battles. And to go even further than that, it's really about knowing why, the why you're having to continue, the why you're having to, be able to differentiate and decipher one thing from another. The importance of that. And a lot of that is connected to knowing yourself. Knowing yourself enough so that way you trust the most inner part of yourself. Oftentimes that is the base of everything else. Oftentimes that is the base of the wars and the battles. That is the difference between someone who knows that they're actually even fighting. If you know yourself, then you will also know when you are in a battle and or a war. You will know when things come at a very subliminal level that you're not supposed to detect. Because remember, battles that are spiritually based, and I see most battles are spiritually based, those battles are one of the most challenging to detect, because spiritual battles happen on a level that you can't see. And unless you're willing to connect with that powerful side of yourself, that side that governs the physical, then not only are you not going to see that you are in a battle, you can forget winning the battle or the war. Once you know yourself, you also know that there are battles, several battles within wars. Many know that year 7 was the year that many battles were fought and many battles were also won. Now, those who continue to be in tune will also know that year 8 is not the year where the war has been won and it's all over and done. And many, while listening to this message, may even ask, well, when is it going to be over? When is it going to be over? When is this war going to be over? And I believe that's a question that if anyone had the answer to that, they probably would have ascended to some, dimension already. And that is to really say that we're all continually learning. And this is the beauty of humanity. And this is the beauty of being here on this plane and being a student of life and continuing to learn what the cosmos and the universe is teaching. Okay? That is the beauty of humanity. That very thing that we often see as challenges are those very things that teach us to value ourselves. And so, with that being said, many of you are in a particular battle at this particular time of your life, and are also aware that battle is part of another one, and yet you're willing to continue, you're willing to move forward. And your spirit guides commend you for that, and your spirit guides are continuing to give you the strength and the solitude that you need to continue to move forward. And whatever it is that you need to do to move forward, that is in tune with your highest self, your spirit guides want you to be in tune with that in order for you to move forward. Because it's about elevating, it's about ascending, it's about getting in tune to your greatest self. And so kudos for those who continue to see the need to push forward, the need to assist and support themselves in moving forward. That is the message. If this message resonates, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, love, peace, and divine light.